I realize that a lot of people are kind of giving up on Cardano, and I'm sitting here, I don't know, I'm zoomed out on a weekly chart. I'm looking at where we are right now in this cycle, and I'm comparing it to this exact moment of last cycle. And there are so many similarities. It's almost identical. And I don't know what's going to happen next. But in this video, I really do want to break down on the zoomed in, the timeline of it, I think offers even guidance in terms of what we should be watching for Cardano on the zoomed in, shorter term price moves. And we're going to really compare right now at this moment to the 2020 consolidation that was happening right before Cardano's breakout at the beginning of 2021. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. Before I dive into the price charts and technical analysis and all that, please feel free to hit the timestamps if you want to go right there. But I do want to talk about a little bit Cardano ecosystem stuff. I posted on X the other day. You might have seen it. I've been making efforts to get Cardano on DexTools and seeing progress. So DexTools, if you're unaware, you can basically go here. You can click any ecosystem like Ethereum and see all the projects, recently updated projects or launch projects. Click a chart. You can connect your wallet. I think you can trade. You can do all of this stuff with like almost every crypto ecosystem. Cardano, a top 10 crypto, consistently, one of the largest layer ones, is not on there. And that's ridiculous to me. So DexTools, Dex Screener is another one. Cardano really should start building bridges now. And I was sitting there the other day. I was like, why is this happening? Because this is one of the things that Cardano needs to work on and Cardano needs to do now. I'm like, why is there not general exposure to the broader crypto ecosystem? Put aside the negativity. Yeah, a lot of people in the media on the VC side of things don't like Cardano. It is what it is, right? But in general, why is Cardano not building bridges that it should be bridging to get broader exposure? Cardano already has an amazing community, like one of the largest in crypto, a silent majority like no other. And I think that's only going to grow. Why not build the bridges? And I'm sitting there like, you know what? We can do stuff like this. That's all it is. On the recruiting side of my recruiting firm, this is what I do is I connect dots. That's my job, running a recruiting firm. And I'm kind of like, why not do this now? And I'm not saying this is a done thing, but I reached out to DexTools and I was like, hey, you have a community that absolutely loves you, first off, but why can't we get this done? And so that's in motion. I don't know if it's definitely going to happen. It's in motion. I think it's looking good. It might take a little bit of time. There's a lot of data stuff going on, and we'll see. But I just said it's time for this to happen. And this isn't the only thing. It's time for a lot of different things to happen when it comes to Cardano. And I think it's going to happen alongside the fundamentals that are playing out. Cardano scaling. Cardano is positioning itself very well in this environment where it gets a lot of negativity. And for me, especially as Cardano price is kind of, it's been stagnant versus some others. But for me, this is an incredibly bullish setup, everything that is kind of coming together. We have projects, I just saw this today, Indigo, major Indy centralized exchange update, exchange listing from the top 10, April 10th. We have Axo's been talking about centralized exchange listings, MEXC on April 1st. It's not a joke. So much is actually starting to happen now. And these are bridges. I'm bringing this up because centralized exchange listings for Cardano native tokens, that's exactly the type of thing I'm talking about. It's getting exposure outside of just Cardano's ecosystem. So whether it's centralized exchanges, whether it's, something like DexTools, whatever it is, community, I think, needs to start making some noise. Stop complaining so much about the things that are wrong with Cardano. There's things wrong with every crypto ecosystem and every crypto. But start actually taking action where we can take action. Have some fun with it. We're spending so much time in the crypto space. Have some fun with it and start building bridges, because that's what I want to see in the crypto space anyway. I want to see bridges built, chains coming together, communities supporting each other. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think there's more to this. And we'll see, we'll see how things go, not just with this DexTools thing, but I'm just saying in general with other ideas on how to build bridges to the broader crypto space. So let's jump over to the charts now. You all know I've been talking so much about the zoomed out ADA chart that you see here. I want to say this is just the way that I see the charts. I have no idea what's going to happen. There's always a risk that things don't play out the same, right? So be prepared for every scenario. But the move that we've been talking a lot about is it's kind of just a technical structure that is formed that is so similar to this moment last cycle, right? Coming out of the bear and then the same exact structure. And we're talking about when we start comparing, where Bitcoin broke the bull market doors last cycle and where it broke the bull market doors this cycle, it's all so similar, right? Bitcoin breaking all-time high somewhere in here last cycle, I believe, and Bitcoin breaking all-time high in this cycle. And so we talked a lot about that. But what I really want to do is I want to make a couple points. Number one, it has to do with zooming in on the daily and actually coming up with kind of a timeline and a really nice guide on the shorter term that will allow us, I think, to get a sense of if ADA is going to repeat itself. I don't know if it will. I'm not sitting here saying it's definitely going to, but a timeline, a guideline, whatever you want to call it. But then I also want to discuss these two pieces. And I think this might be a good place to start. And this is on the ADA BTC pair, because there is something weird that is happening right now. So here's ADA BTC on the ADA BTC pair, right? This is the move that it's within. Now, there's two things I want to point out. When we look at ADA USD, yeah, from a technical analysis perspective, there are so many similarities with right here to right here. But the one thing that's different is back here in 2020, this was months after the Bitcoin halving, right? So this is where things for me have been like, I've just been sitting on it. I've just been watching that and wondering, like, what does that mean? Because right now we're before the Bitcoin halving. So how similar are these moves? The technical move is similar. The structure is similar. All that is similar. Bitcoin breaking the doors, that's similar. So I went to the ADA BTC chart. I think for my own visualization purposes, I was like, okay, let's look at what ADA BTC is doing. And so we have these two areas. Number one, it's Bitcoin halving. And then number two, the current technical move, whether that be the Cardano structure that's so similar or Bitcoin breaking the bull market doors, all of that happening kind of in this general area, right? November 2020 is basically when those bull market doors were broken. So like right there, right? Whether we want to say, let's use the current technical move area or let's use the Bitcoin halving area to really get a sense of ADA right now, no matter which one we use, I found something interesting on the ADA BTC chart. That is to say, in both environments, whether that's Bitcoin halving happening right there, or the similar area from a technical analysis perspective, either way, Cardano was basically kind of ending a consolidation phase and broke out. And to me, that is interesting because right now, again, whether we're going to say, okay, we're at the halving period or we're at the similar current technical move area, either way, if Cardano is going to maintain a similar strength this cycle around, either way, Cardano could very well be getting ready to bottom out. And I'm not saying like today or by this week's close in the next few days, 2 days, but maybe in the coming weeks going into halving, ADA could be ready to bottom out on this chart. Because again, whether it's the current technical move similarities or whether it's the very fact that we're going into Bitcoin halving, either way, Bitcoin or ADA on the ADA BTC chart made a really nice move. And look at that. Look at that ADA strength against Bitcoin right after the halving. Is something like that going to play out again? Or look at ADA's strength from a technical similarity move. Is ADA going to play out like that? So I wanted to bring that up, and then we can start diving into the charts and start saying, okay, we see the similarities in structure. We're sitting here waiting and wondering, will Cardano repeat? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? I mean, if crypto is just going to tank for some reason across the board, there's very little likelihood that ADA is going to just be this one that just, hey, I'm going to repeat last cycle and break out to the upside. So we have to be prepared for just crypto in general. What's it going to be doing in the next few weeks or so? But let's look at it from a timeline perspective. Here we are. Here's the move, the similarities. And I actually want to start with, this is a clip from March 5th, like 24 days ago. And Cardano was, if you look at this pattern at the upper end or just bouncing off the upper end of this upper trend line, right? Let's take a quick clip and then we're going to talk about it. So we just saw last cycle, ADA trended down after Bitcoin hit all-time high. There's a very strong chance ADA can continue trending down right now. There could be a consolidation move for ADA right now, and that would be normal. And we can see the RSI start cooling down, maybe down 50 area, below 50. Who knows? That's something I'll be tracking. All right, so now look at that move potentially getting ready to happen, and then let's go look at the daily chart, and we see the move. And even if we look at the RSI, guess what it did? It did cool down. It cooled down to 50 and below 50. We hit 37 on the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator. This move, so similar to the consolidation that took place back here at this very similar area, right? So what we're looking at is a very similar structured type of setup for ADA, this rising wedge type of deal. There's that upper trend line resistance, and then we're coming back down. That's what we were discussing. And then here we are today. There's that upper trend line resistance, and then we're coming back down. We've retraced. Now, if we go and we look, I was before I did the video, I was just looking, okay, from when ADA hit that upper trend line back here in 2020, by the way, to when ADA actually broke out, right? Like it broke out January 3rd or so. That was around 41, 42 days. So if we go to the chart now, from this area of resistance at the upper trend line to 41 days, just giving a very similar type of vibe in terms of consolidation, time for consolidation, that brings us to around the middle of April, right? So this, from a timeline perspective, I think gives us a range of how much time should we allow Cardano to consolidate before saying, you know what, it's starting to maybe diverge a little from what it did last cycle. And because even mixed in here, yeah, we have mid-April, but Cardano or Bitcoin halving, I think, when, I'm not sure the exact date, but I think maybe a week or so after that, right? So generally, like the last half of April, I think is that area where we say this could be, if ADA repeats itself, where ADA starts putting in a power move, if we're consistent with last cycle. And I can't say this enough. I'm not sitting here saying it's going to be consistent and we're getting a repeat, everybody. But what I am saying is, as of right now, and I've been showing you exactly the similarities. As of right now, it is so similar. The moves are a little bit different. If you look at the swing low right here to that swing high resistance, like 78% move, and you go to last cycle and you look at kind of that same type of move, swing low to swing high, around 150%, it's like double the gains, but that's just how it is for cryptos, right? The kind of diminishing return story, the gains that we see each cycle for whatever crypto you're looking at, it does decrease a little bit. The moves become less volatile. So that's happening, but the moves are so similar. So I really am saying, you know, the next couple of weeks, I'm not exactly sure what price will do. Right now, I do know though, there are so many similarities. So I'm kind of waiting for the last half of April, that Bitcoin halving moment where ADA last cycle started to make its power move. And I'm just saying, what is ADA going to do? And I do think if we want to just say, okay, instead of waiting for the last half of April, how about now until then? What's up? I think for me, and this is where things get a little bit scary, right? Is we're right above this lower trend line. And if we look at kind of this moment last cycle where we're kind of comparing the consolidation of ADA, you can see ADA did fall, it fell, right? A couple times it fell, popped up, fell back down. ADA never really tested the lower trend line there, if you notice that, right? Right now, if you look at this chart, ADA has very much tested this lower trend line. So there's a case, and this can be a downside scenario where ADA falls out of the pattern. And that alone will be something that's different than last cycle, because ADA didn't do that last cycle. I think what I'll be monitoring is can we at least put a higher low from this swing low back here. I think that would be important. But what I do know is this move right now in the short term to the 20-day moving average that you see there, it is extremely similar to when ADA fell back here, right? Below the 50-day in blue, you see that, fell below the 50-day, popped back up to the 20, and then put in a lower low. So right now we're falling below the 20, the 50. We're popping back into the 20-day in the green. Are we about to put in a lower low? Because if we do, we're falling outside of this rising wedge. And that's something that I'm mentally prepared for, because it is so in play. But that doesn't mean we won't get a busted pattern, right? Maybe ADA comes down into the 40s and hits the 200, and then we're popping back in, we're pulling back into the pattern itself. We see that happen so often with cryptos. And then we're getting our breakout in April, right? To the upside. Either way, these things, upside, downside, they're all in play. But the one thing is, the similarities on these charts, it's incredible to track this. It just is. And I realize there's people that are, maybe they don't have the patience to track things like this, or, they're seeing some others like Solana and others make really powerful moves, and things like Matic and Chainlink and Cardano are just doing nothing, and they think it's over for these chains. I'm just not in that camp. I don't think that. I think not only are we getting a very similar structure and similar consolidation, similar move on something like Cardano, but I think altcoin season for these cryptos is getting ready to happen. Whether or not it does, we're going to track it. That's what I'm here doing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. I appreciate you just supporting the channel. And if you're still here watching, I really am thankful to each and every one of you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.